Hey everybody, so in this video we're going to take a look at two things, commission and simple interest. So before we get started, I want you to take a minute, go onto Google or anywhere else, just see if you can find a quick definition for commission and simple interest, and then add it onto your paper, and then we'll compare. Okay, so here are the two definitions that I came up with. So commission, which we're going to start with, is just money that is given to an employee for completing a task. So like car salespeople, they earn commission, right? So they earn a certain amount of money for every car that they sell. Simple interest is going to be money that is earned on a principal amount at a certain rate, which we're going to talk about. So it turns out if you put money into a bank account, it's going to earn interest, which is basically free money just for having your money that you initially had. You earn money on that just for putting it in the bank, which we're going to talk about. But like I said, first we're going to start with commission. So at Raymore and Flanagan, employees earn a 2.5% commission on every sale that they make. They want to figure out if Robert made $8,850 in sales, how much commission did he make? So just like we've been doing, part is going to be our amount that is like after the fact, so like including commission, which we don't know yet. We do know that the whole or the original amount is $88.50, and the commission rate is 2.5%. So that's going to be on our percent line. All right, we have our three pieces of information. We can go and set up our equation. So x is equal to 2.5 over 100. Don't forget your denominator, times the original amount, which was $88.50. So if you punch this, again, x is by itself, so you can go right to your calculator. If you punch all of that in, you should be getting a number of $221.75, I believe. So if he sold $8,850 worth of items, that's the extra money that Robert would earn just for doing that task. Okay, but what if we wanted to think about it the other way? Francesca made $279 in commission, and we want to figure out what she made in sales to earn that amount of money. So instead of knowing the part, instead of knowing the whole, we actually know the part in this case, right? We know the commission was worth $279. The whole is what we're solving for, and it's the same store, so the commission rate, the percentage is still the same. Okay, so when we go to set up our equation, it just looks a little bit different, but it's still the same process. But we're going to start with our 279 equals 2.5 over 100 times x in this case. And then, of course, x is not by itself. We have to get it by itself by dividing our fraction over. So dividing by 2.5 over 100. All right, and if you check this in your calculator, this should be giving you that x, which is our whole or our original amount or the sales amount, has to be equal to 11,160. So that's how much Francesca would need to have sold in order to get $279 in commission. So again, just like tax and tip that we talked about, commission is really just a percentage of a total, right? So we could solve it something like this. Okay, but what we really want to start looking at today, the main point of our video, is simple interest, which we're going to get to. So let's think about this. So Larry invests $500 into a savings plan. The plan pays 4% interest every year on his $500 balance. So basically he puts $500 in, and as you can see on our table, every year he's going to start to earn money on it. So if you look at it, we know he started by putting in $500. So in year 0, he didn't earn any interest. It's still $500. But after year 1, he earned $20 in interest. The next year, it was 40, 60, and 80. Right? So each year, he was going to earn $20 extra on his money. Again, it's free. It's a free $20 just for putting your money in the bank. Well, let's think, what would his balance have to be after, let's say, 8 years? Well, we could sit here and just add rows onto our table. So after 5 years, it would be $100. After 6 years, it would be 120. 7 years would be 140. And there we go. 8 years, he would have $160 earned. So this 160 is the extra money, the interest. So that's what he would have earned so far on top of his $500 that he already had in there. So then he would have had a balance of 660. So, of course, we could use a table. I mean, it's a fine strategy, but it's usually, we can always try to find a more efficient, quicker way. So if you look at this, thinking back to Unit 1, we could just talk about this has a constant of proportionality, right? Meaning it's a proportional relationship. It would be a straight line through the origin, right? Basically, we can take the time, the years, and just multiply it by 20 to get the interest rate. So in other words, our constant of proportionality is 20 for this, right? We know we could write an equation from this, y equals 20x. And of course, this is proportional because it starts at 0, 0, and there is the same constant of proportionality each time. So that's just a little bit of a review. But what we really want to get into is this simple interest formula, which is I equals PRT. And you're probably wondering, why are there so many letters? Where are the numbers? Well, we're going to have to take values from a word problem and plug them into this formula. So if we look at example 2, so Larry, again, invests $500 in a savings plan. It's the same interest rate as we talked about and the same balance, right? We want to figure out what his balance would be after 10 years. So instead of sitting here and adding rows onto our table, we want to see if we can use this formula. So the $500 that he invests, and let me use the right colors here so it matches up. The $500 that Larry invested is called our principal, right? It's our starting amount. So we're going to need that. It says we have a 4% simple interest rate. So that's going to be what we're going to put in for R. And they told us we want to find the balance after 10 years. So that's going to be what we call the time length of our investment. So we're going to use the same formula every time. I equals PRT. But we already know what the P, the R, and the T is. So we're just going to take the values from our problem that we highlighted and put them right into our equation. Remember, anytime you take a number and substitute it in, you need to make sure to put it in parentheses. Okay, so the first one we need to put in is our principal, which is 500, right? It's the amount that we started with. Okay, the next thing is our interest rate, but we can't just put a 4 in because 4 is not the same as 4%. Remember, you have to do 4 over 100, or you can do it as a decimal, it doesn't matter. 4 over 100, and then our time length is going to be 10 years, right, just from the problem. So we're just taking the values that we had in our problem, putting them into this formula, and we're going to solve. So it turns out I, or the interest, is already alone, right? It's isolated, so we can go right to our calculator. So you're going to type this in exactly as you see it, just like that. And this should be getting you could double check, should be getting you a number of 200 for your interest. Okay, but the question asked how much money will be in his account after 10 years. It's not just 200. The 200 is the interest, the free money basically that he earned. But he still had the 500 that he put in the first place. So his total for this, his balance after 10 years would be $700. So basically just for putting his money in there, he earned a free $200 over those 10 years. Okay, so I know that was a lot, but we're going to have you try one, and we're going to get you set up first. So again, principal is what you're starting with. Your interest rate is going to be the percentage, and the T, the time, will be usually in years. So if we look, the principal, so Kira is opening a new savings account and deposits $1,150. So that is your principal. Your interest rate, they tell you, is 4.5%. and the time is going to be 5 years. So there we go. So why don't you pause this video, see if you can take those three numbers, put them into your I equals PRT formula, and figure out how much interest Kira would earn, and use that to get the total that would be in her account. All right, so we put our 1,150 in, we put our 4.5 over 100 in, and we put our 5 in for 5 years. Just like before, right? The I is already over here by itself, so we can go right to our calculator. If you type this in just as you see it, you should be getting 258, 258.75. So that is the interest that Kira would have earned over the 5 years, the free money, plus what she already had, the 1,150. And if you add those two together, her balance, or the amount of money that would be in her account after those 5 years, is $1,408.75. So that's not too bad for 5 years. She earned about $258 on that, so not bad at all. Okay, so we're going to pause here. There are a couple more slides. I think there's one more. We are going to take a look at that together a little bit later, but I at least wanted to show you this I equals PRT formula, and also let you know that you will have this formula given to you on the PSSAs. So you don't need to memorize it, you just need to remember how to take the different amounts and put them right in. Okay, so thank you for watching and following along on your notes. And like I said, we're going to look at the final slide together in a little bit.